When you're in your singleness, and especially when you're lonely, it seems like the one thing that would make everything right is a companion. Now, many people will not feel lonely because they're alone. I mean, that's a good, healthy place to be. But what's worse than being alone and feeling lonely is when you have a companion and you still feel lonely.
And that is because the companion you have may not be a good match for you.
May not be a good match, or maybe you just haven't really connected with each other yet. Who's trying to do so? Whenever I was in my singleness, I thought I was being so smart and sly, so insightful by asking all my dates this question. I would ask them, are you looking for companionship or connection?
And what are you exactly trying to say there?
Well, actually, I only did this a couple or a few times because it bombed every time, and I realized it was a bad question. It's such a leading question because, really, there's only one right answer. Oh, I'd have to say that I'm looking for both. Okay, I should not have led with that. I should have really gotten to know that person, because you'll notice whenever I had enough experience in talking to ladies after my divorce, and I finally had a chance to talk with you, I didn't ask you that question, did I?
No, you did not.
Because I knew that the only way to find that out was to be in relation with you. That does not necessarily mean a romantic relationship. I needed to get to know you organically. I needed to get to know you more than just a one-time chat across a coffee table.
Okay.
I needed to get to know you more than just a few messages sent back and forth through a dating app. That's how I get to find out if you're looking for a connection or just a companion.
Okay.
So you asked a good question. What exactly do I mean by connection versus companion?
Yes.
I mean, think about it. Somebody's puppy could be a companion. And some people will even start to say, well, I've got such a great connection with my dog. Well, actually, that connection is just familiarity. You really don't know what from that dog's past is affecting them in the future. You can make assumptions. Like if it's a rescue dog, you can assume, well, if they were mistreated, this is how they're behaving today.
Okay. I'm glad you clarified that part of it.
But if there's something about them, like dogs typically don't even have aspirations. What are you trying to get to? What are you trying to reach in your life? Where are you trying to go, and how do your present day actions help you get there? How could I help you get there? Is your future aligned with the things that are driving me? Are we being called down the same path? Now, as you take a look at different dates that you might have, the companionship is actually what pulls us in. Now I've got someone to go to the movies with. I've got someone to go out to dinner with. We enjoy the same foods. We're experiencing new foods together. I like to take these day trips with my girlfriend. You might say, I like to take a day trip with your boyfriend. All these are examples of companionship.
Okay.
But the question is, when you're on these dates, how deep do you go?
You should go very deep so that way you can get to know the person.
Exactly. But how many of us do so?
Very few.
We get wrapped up in the, I'm with somebody, I'm enjoying my time, I'm having fun. And sometimes we are so guarded with our own emotions and our own past that we don't want to unpack them for somebody else. We might have a fear that, hey, if they know the true inner me, they won't like me anymore. It becomes a source of vulnerability.
Yeah, but that's why you need to get into a relationship with somebody you can actually be able to express everything with. And I only say that because when you do that, you are not one in the beginning bringing a representative to your meetup when you first meet that person. You are bringing your true self, and when you bring your true self, you'll be able to express yourself. Now, if you express yourself and that person is not receptive of it, guess what? That person's not the one.
Right. Absolutely true. But then the question becomes, let's say you go on a first date with someone.
Okay.
And they seem interesting. Okay. They intrigue you. Mm-hmm. How well do you get to know them before you start unpacking those inner deep feelings about yourself? I mean, you don't want to
I'll be honest with you, this is an age thing. It just depends on what age are you doing this. If you're in your early 20s, you might not unpack something like that because you are in the early stages of your life. And again, then it may be your late 20s. You may be thinking, I may need to tell a little bit more about myself. But if you are dating or at the mid to late 30s, early 40s, actually 50s, yeah, I guarantee you when you started talking to somebody, you are pretty much going to be an open book about what you really are wanting in a relationship. Why are you looking like that for?
Oh, because I just received something while you're talking, and I hope I remember to get back to it. When you talk about when you get to be a little bit older in life, late 30s, 40s, even 50s,
Yeah.
you'll be more of an open book.
Yeah.
Why is that? Why do you have to get to be that old? And why do I say that old? Because, well, I'm definitely in that age group myself. But why do you have to have that much mileage on your odometer to want to open up like that?
Because a lot of times a person by that time has experience and they have been through some things. What I mean by some things, they have been in relationships and they know that some of the relationships they've been in was not the best relationships to have been in. So however, as they're trying to get better, they have found who they are and within themselves, they are trying to get into a good or great, actually a great relationship.
So it sounds like you're saying that they have lived enough life to know the consequences of not opening up early.
Yes.
So you just said what I was thinking about, and it was about knowing yourself. I will bet that someone at a younger age, as they open up to someone about what they're feeling, what they've experienced, and what they want to do, they will learn about themselves as well. It's not just a matter of disclosure, but it's also a process of self-discovery.
And also, this one quick tip. I cannot necessarily say everybody that is young doesn't know really what they want. And I'm only saying that because some people that are young are what they call wise beyond their years.
Well,
so, and you got somebody at that age that, have been through a few things and they do want to get into a great relationship with someone so they could live out the rest of their life with that someone. So again, it's not, I can't say it's just the older generation. It's, some of the younger ones with their head on, a good head on their shoulders and, wise beyond their years.
And another way that you can start to see if the relationship that you're in or the one that you're pursuing is the right one for you, go ahead and unpack something that's important to you. Go ahead and unpack something that's deep. If the person you're with shows interest in finding out more about you, more about your experience, and more about your aspirations in that realm, in that context, then you have the beginnings of a relationship, of a connection that's growing and deepening with time.
That's true, because what that person could do at that time frame is after you tell them something deep, excuse me, I have to go to the restroom, or take off running. Because they don't want to be, they don't want to be in a relationship with someone where they consider to have baggage.
Indeed. Now, the thing is, everybody has baggage.
Everybody does.
In fact, you bring baggage to the table as well.
Yes.
The question is, are you willing to unpack that baggage, look in someone else's bag, understand the person, and not condemn them for what they're carrying around?
Okay, I have a quick question about baggage.
Go ahead.
So, you either have a bag that you're going to take and you're going to be gone for quite some time, so you don't fill that bag like all the way up. That's what I mean by baggage. Or, because you said everybody has baggage, or do you have that overnight baggage? But you just have just a couple of pairs of, essentials that you need. That type of baggage.
Well, you know what? The essentials in this metaphorical baggage, they do help us keep an eye on the future.
Exactly.
The past is the only light for which we have to see the future. And if we don't pay attention to what we've been through, then we are doomed to repeat what we've been through.
This is true. However, what we should not do is continue to keep opening up the past and bringing it to the future. Not saying that you don't need to have some things about your past, but you don't need to keep opening up the scar and just let it just keep, open it up again and then let it heal back up and then open it up again.
It is good to keep an eye on, some of the things that you've been through and be able to disclose those. And it's not a matter of dwelling on them. It is a matter of your new love interest to understand who you are and why you might react in certain ways.
This is true.
An example, and this is real life, and you're gonna roll your eyes and think it's silly. I was at a church potluck once, and they were serving mashed potatoes, and they were seasoned. They looked good, and I put a few dollops of mashed potatoes on my plate. Got back to my table, I started to eat them, and the seasoning! Someone had put pickles in the mashed potatoes. Now, you know how I cannot stand pickles, but that was such a traumatic experience that right now I don't even want to touch a jar of pickles unless I've got like protective gloves and a hazmat suit on.
Yeah.
And so, if you had not realized, and granted, although this is somewhat of a true and silly story, think of it metaphorically, because I had that traumatic experience with this thing that most people would consider to be innocuous or just completely benign. For me, it triggers an emotional response that most people would say, oh, what's wrong with him? But as I unpack this for my love interest, hopefully they'll understand and realize, you know what? I'm not sure I quite understand it, but I respect it. And so I'm not going to put pickles on his hamburger next time I make him a meal. So anyway, it's just a metaphor talking about how past trauma they don't necessarily have to make sense to your mate, but if they can accept and understand you for that, that's part of building a connection. Sharing everything about yourself that's like, even the things that you might consider yourself otherwise hiding, the more you hide, the more it's going to come up later and bite you later on in the relationship.
This is true.
Back to connection.
Back to the connection.
You know, you can go to a carnival together, and you know what? That's a companionship. You walk around, you play some games, ride some rides, eat some popcorn. You have fun together. And at the end of the night, you feel like, wow, I had such an amazing time. I had a wonderful time with this person. She was fun. She was willing to go on all the rides. He was great. He wanted me this big old teddy bear. Yeah, I had fun at the end of the night. Now, in that scenario, you might not expect to go deep at a carnival.
Okay.
But your entire dating experience cannot be a carnival.
Wow.
Sometimes you need to go deep. You need to talk it out. Now, when we start talking about connection and marriage, a lot of times what we have on the path to divorce is couples falling out of companionship with each other. They've got their own separate lives, that they're doing their own separate things, and they stop spending time together. They may already know each other very well. They may know enough about each other to be in connection, to have a great connection. They may know each other's body language and demeanor well enough that when they walk in the door after having a bad day, you know immediately, yeah, she had a bad day. So while there could be a connection there still, without the companionship, that connection starts to get brittle and fade away.
And unravel.
So to maintain that connection, spending time together and companionship, we've talked about doing projects together. It could just be a matter of going out and going to that carnival or the fair, sitting down and watching a movie together and talking about it afterwards. It could be just a matter of going out and grabbing something to eat, walking through a park.
Eating cotton candy together.
Okay, you're good with the cotton candy. Me, as long as it's not pickled cotton candy, we're good.
Oh, they do have pickled cotton candy.
No. You're triggering my trauma right now. But really, a long-term relationship is going to have both intermixed and balanced together. You're going to use your companionship to build your connection. And as you're building your connection, you're going to have a deeper, a stronger companionship. As you continue to listen to each other and appreciate each other and respect each other, your connection is going to strengthen and you're going to crave more companionship with your partner. It's an amazing thing if you work the system right, but if you allow it to fray and come apart and unravel, you'll start to ask yourself, did I even marry the right person to begin with? Because the best connections are grown over time and they're strengthened over time. You just gotta work on them. You see, there's this misconception that if you find the right person, you'll feel this instant connection and live blissfully ever after. But that's not the deal at all. If you hold that expectation, you will be all too willing to throw everything away, a good marriage, a good relationship, and you'll throw it away with the hope of finding that instant connection with someone.
Anything worth working on is worth fighting for, don't you say?
Exactly. See, when you spend time building a deep connection with your loved one, you build ties that strengthen with time. So go deep. Get emotionally and spiritually intimate. The best relationships are more than just enjoying experiences together. A deep connection will give you new perspectives on those experiences, and they'll allow you to see life through the lens of your lover's heart.
The night is young, and you got me going on every single beat. Hits my heart so deep. Wanna wrap my arms around you 'cause you're sweet.